Evan is on the line. His pronouns are he, him, from Colorado. Would like to talk about a study regarding mental health and religion. That sounds interesting. What have you got for us, Evan?
Hello.
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 Yeah. I got a study. A friend of mine challenged me this morning, kind of first thing when I woke up. He sent me this thing from YouTube called Academy of Ideas, which I used to watch. And it's sort of weird. And they said there's a benefit to having religion in terms of like your recovery from depression, reduction in anxiety. And I went through and I found like the National Institute of Health.gov study, and I read some of it, but I just wondered what if you all maybe had some pushback on that, if you really think that like the study is concluding like that religion has a positive impact on mental health. I know you haven't seen the study, but
yeah, I've seen this study. I haven't read it yet. It's on my list, but I think it's really interesting. It doesn't prove God, first of all, right? It doesn't even address the question of God. It addresses the effect of what religion has on mental health. And we know Harvard's done a study for the last 80 years on what makes people happy. And the primary conclusion is the more people you know and interact with on a deep level, good friends, the more good friends you have, the happier you will be. That's social connection. Does religion do a good job of promoting a social connection? Yes, it does. So the question I have when I read the paper, that I'll have when I read the paper, is have they addressed any of these other external issues? Because when you say religion or church, you're talking about more than just a belief, right? A God, right? That's atheism versus theism. You're talking about a community that develops very strong us versus, depending on which Christian community you're with, very strong us versus them type connections, very tribal type connections. And so how does that, is that what they're showing with this? That folks with those types of deep connections are happier and recover better mentally? Okay, I'll buy that. I'm not going to buy this proves God. I'm not going to buy that God sets something up that is correct, because we're social animals and we build communities very naturally. That's what we do as human beings. We tend to build communities. We tend to get very tribal, us versus them mentalities. It's amazing what happens when your us becomes the entire planet versus just the United States, or any country for that matter. But yeah, it's an interesting study. I don't have anything to say against it or to say that it's BS. I just don't know what it was actually attempting to do, other than the conclusions that religion seems to have, some positive mental benefits. Okay, that doesn't mean it's true, and that's what we're really concerned with. Is it true? Because if all it is community, we atheists aren't good at doing that. And I think part of that is fear. I think part of that is it's very easy to feel like you're isolated. I'm currently in Dothan, Alabama. That's why my RV is parked right now. And it's very easy for me to feel very isolated as being the only atheist. But having done the atheist experience, this show and other shows, the one thing I know is that there are atheists around here. I just got to go find them. And I have to go develop those connections, so that I'm not feeling that. But also building secular connections with religious people is also okay. If you go to meetup.com and you're interested in board gaming and you go to board gaming and that's what you guys talk about, okay. If they want to pray before they start, let them. It doesn't hurt you. But I never, I was in Phoenix, which is fairly secular, but go find some other things and build those deep connections and build that community around you, whether it's atheist or not, secular or not, and just keep it secular. That would be the answer to that, right? So it'd be interesting to I'm looking forward to reading it here when it comes up on my reading list.
Is that helpful for you, Evan?
That actually just sort of reiterates what I had sort of thought as I was reading some of it, because it was a meta analysis of like many studies. So I was trying to look for, holes in the armor here and like, what, this can't be right, but
Right.
when you put it like that, it definitely could be more of the community aspect. So
Right.
you definitely.
And I've never been religious as such, and I'm pleased to say that my mental health is rarely suffering. I've got fairly good mental health, and that's because I surround myself by people that I like that have nothing to do with religion. And I'm lucky that I come from a place. I've said it before. I say it again. Come from a place that is largely secular, and so I was fortunate enough to have grown up and surrounded myself with like-minded people. And now that I live in the States, it is harder to do, but it's not impossible. I've got a big group of friends here in North Kentucky that are non-believers, and they are out there. You can easily find them if you look in the right places. Like Jim said, there are places to go and search for them.
Yeah. I made sure that you could do this, but if you Google 80-year Harvard study on happiness, that'll pop up the actual Harvard study as well, and you can go look at it. So folks in chat had said that it's hard to quantify happiness. Well, you've got to quantify it in order to study it, and I think Harvard's done a really good job with that. And I'm trying to think. There's another guy. Who uses happiness of a population, layered.
Like as a benchmark kind of thing.
Layered, Professor Richard Laird, Layard. All of his stuff is fantastic. Okay. His books are on my reading list as well. I'll get to them here soon. But his studies on happiness have actually led to government changes in what they're doing in terms of government policy. And I think it is absolutely fascinating. His YouTube stuff is wonderful. It's more stuff on happiness. And he's actually the primary reason, and the Harvard study are the primary reasons why I don't use well-being as my standard for morality. I use happiness because we can measure it. We know what it is. And we can actually get good government if we use that as our standard of what we should be doing at any given time. So go look at some of those resources as well, and you'll see kind of where my argument comes from that I just made for you.
Yeah. Layard. Is that what you said?
Layard. Layard, basically.
Layard.
First name Richard.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
Hey, no worries.
Thank you
well,
so
hopefully
much.
that helps you,
Both of you.
and good luck. Good luck, Evan. Hope it all goes okay.
I appreciate it.
Look after yourself.
All right.
Okay, you have a good one.
All right.
Thanks, Evan.
Ta-ta.